हवाले से इनकी जो तहरीरें थी तो इनकी किताबों पे बैन लगाया हुआ है, जिसको आज़ाद कश्मीर कहा जाता है। तो वहाँ पे इनकी किताबें जो है ना उन्होंने बैन की हुई हैं कि जी आपने कश्मीर की हिस्ट्री को, जो वहाँ पे 1947 में क्या हुआ, किस मुल्क का क्या कंट्रीब्यूशन था मुल्क को हमारे डिवाइड करने में, तो उन चीज़ों को इन्होंने हाईलाइट किया। तो इनकी किताबों के अलावा और बेशुमार किताबें हैं वो भी बैन है। तो ये उस हवाले से भी, और जो वहाँ पे जो मुश्किलात है लोगों को प्रेस, मीडिया और पब्लिकेशंस पे, तो उस पे गुफ्तगू करेंगे। डॉक्टर सर प्लीज, यू हैव द फ्लोर।
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mr. Chairman, friends and colleagues, Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon. Mr. Chairman, thank you for giving me this opportunity to express my views in this important webinar on World Press Freedom Day. Right of expression is a fundamental human right. It is said that some countries go out of their way to ensure that fundamental rights are denied to people and right of expression is curbed. Free media, electronic and print, play a crucial role in protecting and enhancing rights of citizens and supporting civil society and democracy. In the case of Pakistan, this is not true because the present government is determined to silence all voices of dissent. Without a vibrant and independent media, government and secret agencies and powerful people in society can encroach on the rights of other people. Pakistani Federal Union of Journalists, in its recent report published in the news, said the government has a hidden agenda to strangulate freedom of press. The statement identified the following factors that were endangering lives of the media workers and adding to their problems: expanding entrenchments, non-payment, delayed payments, cut in salaries of workers, diminishing press freedom, intensifying censorship and press advice, growing unholy collaboration between media owners and government actors in depriving media workers of their fundamental rights. The statement says by using some of the above tactics, the hidden agenda of the government is to destroy press freedom and crush media workers' rights in Pakistan in complicity with the media owners through economic strangulation and financial arm twisting of journalists and crushing of enabling environment for media to flourish. Because of the government's anti-media policies, more than 8,000 media workers have lost their jobs. Mr. Chairman, those who bravely face the government pressure and ignore their arm twisting are systematically harassed, intimidated, and they become victims of nefarious propaganda and are called agents and traitors. The media owners who do not implement the policies dictated by the government face very serious financial losses as their channels are taken off the screens and they are implicated in false cases. The government and the media owners, for their own reasons and vested interests, totally ignore the basic mission of journalism and freedom of speech enshrined in the UN Charter and guaranteed in Article 19 of the Constitution of Pakistan. The report asserts that the government and agencies exceed their mandate and use coercive means to hound journalists and pressurize media houses to crush freedom of expression and professional journalism. They requested the parliament and judiciary to step in and perform their responsibilities of safeguarding freedom of express. Perhaps they forgot that the bitter fact that the parliament and the judiciary are also controlled by government and secret agencies. The International Federation of Journalists and PFUJ are outraged by the attacks on journalists and called for a prompt action to arrest those responsible. They said these incidents are yet another reminder that Pakistan is the most dangerous country for journalists. Both organizations are also reaffirmed their calls on Pakistan government to take decisive steps against ongoing attacks on the media in this South Asian country. Mr. Chairman, those who do not obey the orders are attacked and beaten up. Their limbs are broken by unknown people. If they still don't conform and continue to show dissent, they are abducted and kept for days and months. Sometimes their dead bodies are discovered, but lucky ones are returned after some punishment and serious warnings. Last month, in April 2021, a famous journalist, Absar Alam, which you have mentioned as well, as Shokat Saab and others have mentioned, was shot in broad daylight in a park in Islamabad, where he went for a walk. His crime was to criticize one of the holy cows in Pakistan. One day he attacked and exposed the holy cow. The next day he was targeted in a park. Absar Alam was a former television journalist and the former chair of the Pakistan Electronic Regulatory Authority, the country's media regulator. His posts in social media were not appreciated by some powerful people, and he received a summons from the Federal Investigation Agency because of this. Stephen Butler, CPJ's Asia Program Coordinator, said, "Today's shooting of journalist Absar Alam highlights the dangerous climate that all members of the press face in Pakistan if they dare to criticize the government's powerful military. The perpetrators in this attack, as well as anyone involved in its planning, must be swiftly identified and brought to justice." In 2020, Pakistan ranked 9th in CPJ's annual Global Impunity Index, which assesses countries where journalists are murdered regularly and their killers go free. At least 34 journalists have been killed in Pakistan since CPJ began tracking killings in 1992. On 18 March 2021, Ajay Lalwani, a non-Muslim journalist, was also killed by a gunshot in Sakhar, Sindh province of Pakistan. He was killed in Salihabad area of Sakhar when two motorcycles and a car with 4 passengers drove by and opened fire, striking the Lalwani in the stomach, arms and knee. Of course, he was killed by unknown men who used 2 motorcycles and a car to kill one unarmed man. A popular saying in Pakistan on these matters is, "Ye jo na malum hai, sabko malum hai." Ye jo na malum hai, sabko malum hai. But people are afraid to speak out because they can also get a bullet in their stomach. Mr. Chairman, political activists and journalists hailing from Pakistan or Pakistani occupied territories are not even safe in places like Canada and Europe. Karima Baloch, Sajid Hussain Baloch, Shaukat Kashmiri, Jameel Maqsood, and of course many others, and me included, are victims of the Pakistani state because we courageously and logically provide counter-narrative that is strongly detested by the Pakistani establishment. Just to refresh memories of the people, Sajid Hussain Baloch was the editor-in-chief of the online news magazine Balochistan Times, and was killed, and his dead body was discovered near the Swedish city of Uppsala. Similarly, Karima Baloch's dead body was found in Toronto, Canada. She was a courageous and inspiring human rights activist who, according to the BBC report, was a vocal critic of the Pakistani military and state. Dissidents, critics, and freedom lovers have to pay a price in Islamic Republic of Pakistan and in areas under their control. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, I must point out that situation of right of expression is much worse in so-called Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan, both parts of the former state of Jammu Kashmir. We cannot even publish books which provide facts about Jammu and Kashmir and challenge the Pakistani narrative on Jammu Kashmir. Many books are banned, which include a number of my books too. My bank accounts are still frozen, and I still cannot visit my village and the grave of my father. I'm conditioned to activate my banks is that I should physically visit there, which means if I go, I won't come back live. One newspaper, Majadra, which has been mentioned already, was banned in so-called Azad Kashmir because it published a survey report which showed that 73.6% of the local people expressed their desire to become an independent country. A journalist, Mr. Tanveer Ahmed, a British citizen, is in prison in so-called Azad Kashmir for taking off the Pakistani flag, which should not have been there in the first place. In my opinion, he was punished because he visited all the towns of the so-called Azad Kashmir and villages and surveyed 10,000 people to ask if they wanted to join Pakistan or become independent. The result was astonishing, and because overwhelming majority of people supported an independent Jammu Kashmir, and the Pakistani establishment and the secret agencies could not tolerate that. To conclude, Mr. Chairman, if the situation of journalists in Punjab and especially in Islamabad is such that people are killed or shot in daylight, they are abducted. You also mentioned Slim Shahzad or Riyan. I don't need to repeat all those. Just imagine what will be the situation of places like Balochistan, Fata, Gilgit-Baltistan and Azad Kashmir. And in conclusion, I must say that we all have to stand up and speak against this injustice and this oppression. And we must, this struggle and speaking against the oppressors is the best form of jihad, in my opinion. And I leave it at that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.